All right, my friends, I'm here with my PMP bosses in the making, and I have a treat, someone with my first name, Phil. I got another Phil. It seems like one is not enough. So we got two Phils. So Phil asked the question about how to study the 49 processes and how to master these ITTOs. So I want to give Phil some advice about this. So Phil, whenever you're looking at a process, you need to ask this question: what am I doing? What am I doing? So, what are you doing in plan resource management? Do you know? What are you doing, Phil? Can you tell me? Are you on mute, Phil? Oh, Phil might be on mute again. You want to chat in, Phil, to me? Oh, Phil is on mute. Let's unmute. Let's help Phil here. All right,
Okay,
Phil.
I'm back now. Thank you. So you're basically looking at your resources, trying to figure out what you need to help you with that project.
Good. That's one of the things. Good. So, looking at your resources, what do I need? And tell me, what kind of resources are you looking at?
Um, People,
Good. What else?
material.
Good.
Uh,
Okay. What else?
that's all I can think of right now.
Okay. So, let's say human. So, I often tell people think about hemming, like hemming a piece of cloth. So, hems, I call it human equipment material supplies, hems, and you can add facilities. Okay. So the first thing you want to do for any process, Phil, is to say, what am I doing? That's the D. The D is what am I doing? The best way to study a process is to know what exactly you're doing. So when you have fully described what you're doing, have you got a copy of the PMBOK guide, Phil? Have you got this book?
Yeah, I do.
Good. So to study this, my recommendation would be for you to go to 9.1 in the book, and on top of the question you just asked yourself, what am I doing? You want to read the key benefits. So this is on page 312 for plan resource management. It says the key benefit of this process is that it establishes the approach and level of management effort needed for managing project resources based on the type and complexity of the project. So another thing I recommend as you're studying is to go back to the PMBOK guide and get clarity about the key benefit. Okay? So
Okay.
going back to the whiteboard, the next step after what am I doing, it should be what am I getting? In other words, what is in it for me? So what am I getting? What is in it for me as the project manager? And this, we put it in the G section. What am I getting? See?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the G. What you're getting is very important. Now, in addition to what you're getting, let's take a look at this plan resource management. There's a question you need to ask, which is, what am I using? And what do I mean by that? Using means what tool and technique am I applying? So what am I using? What am I using to do this? What am I using? I'm using a jackhammer, a jackhammer. I'm using a knife. I'm using a Phillips screwdriver.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using whatever you're using. It's a tool and technique. So what am I using to do this? You need to say, oh, am I using a project management information system? Or am I using expert judgment? Or am I using product analysis? That will be the tool and technique. But that's not all. When you're baking a cake, You could say, I'm using a mixer, I'm using a bowl, I'm using an oven, but I also have ingredients. I have the cake mix, I have the eggs, I have the flour, I have the milk, I have the sugar. So the next thing you want to ask yourself is, what else am I using as an input? So you need to think about both the tools, when you talk about what you're using, the tools that you're using for the job, but also the inputs or the ingredients.
Mhm.
And you need to ask, plan resource management, how do I even do that? Oh, I need, and then on page 312, you can see that you use the project charter. You can see that you use enterprise environmental factors. For example, I would expect you to go into the PMBOK guide and say, what am I using and why am I using this particular one? Or maybe you've studied over time and you realize a pattern that EFs and OPAs, they typically appear in planning. So once you understand that, you may not need to question yourself as much. It might just come as second nature. Oh, I expect to see this. Like when you know how the PMBOK guide works, there are things you expect to see. So what am I using to do this? You're thinking about tools and
Mhm.
techniques. And you're also thinking about the inputs of most relevance. Because you know there's so many inputs. If you try to begin memorizing inputs, you could run into trouble. And that's why I tell people, don't memorize, understand. Try to understand, why is this going in here? Why? And then it becomes easier. All right. So Phil, we've talked about the inputs, okay? And we've talked about the tools and techniques. But I'm not expecting that you cram these. These are just casual questions. Like someone saying, huh, so what do you use to build a pool? How would you build a pool? And you say, oh, you need a backhoe, you need this, you need that. Or someone says, how do you make a vehicle? How do you make a car? And you begin to describe all the components needed and the machine work that's needed, the machines that are needed. That is exactly what you're doing under the U. All right, last but not least, Phil, we have, where is it going? Let me give you an example. What do we get out of this? Out of plan resource management, we get a resource management plan. But that's not the only thing we get. We also get a team charter. These two things, they don't end at the output of plan resource management. No. Instead, they are going to other places, and not just one, but a number of other places. When you understand the PMBOK guide, you know where to hunt to find what you're looking for. So for example, the resource management plan, because I know how the PMBOK guide works, I know that I will find the resource management plan as an input to the next process that follows plan resource management. See, so what follows plan resource management is estimate activity resources. And if I go to estimate activity resources, sure enough, on page 321, I can see one of the sub tiny bullets under project management plan is resource management plan. So that means when I ask the question, where is my output going? I should be able to say, okay, one of the places is estimate activity resources. For example, you know, that's one of the places that it's going. And there are other places, but you need to ask the question, where is my output going and why? So where and why? And what I typically do, I put a squared on top of this because it's W squared. Where and why? Okay, so where is my resource management plan going? Oh, it's going to estimate activity resources. Oh, but why? Well, open up the PMBOK guide And it reads on page 322, the resource management plan defines the approach to identify the different resources needed for the project. It also defines the methods to quantify the resources needed for each activity and aggregates this information. You see what I'm saying? So you want the GWU squared D system. I'm going to create a JPEG for you, and I'm going to share it with everyone so that you guys have a good idea of what to do. So what am I doing? What am I getting? What am I using? Where is it going? And why? I call it the Get Good system. And it's helped a lot of people to fine tune their focus as they're studying the processes and ITTOs. Okay, does that help?
That does.
Awesome. All right, well, let's end this recording. Thank you very much, Phil. Appreciate the question, and I'm glad that this helped you.